When we become anxious about something, there tends to be two things that we do. One is to then avoid that situation, and the other is to create safety behaviours, things that help us, or that we imagine or think will help us deal with that situation. So in the first example, so maybe you're at a party and you start to feel anxious and it's unpleasant and you don't like it. So you come away from that party and you think, well, I don't want to feel that way, so I'm not going to go to a party again. So you're going to avoid that situation. And of course, that's understandable. None of us want to feel that way. The problem with that is that then that tells your brain, and it tells you that actually you can't deal with parties, you're not capable, and that actually there is something threatening about parties, there is something dangerous about it. So then you might find yourself, say, in a public place with lots of people around you, and because it's slightly similar to a party, all of a sudden you find yourself feeling that anxiety creeping up again. And then you think, well, okay, well maybe I can't cope with public places, maybe I can't deal with crowds of people altogether, so then you avoid that. Every time you avoid something, you are confirming that that is dangerous and that you can't manage that and that there's a problem with it. And so it just can easily then travel from one thing to another thing to another thing, and so that your life gets more and more and more restrictive till you're avoiding more and more things. And you quite often then find yourself in a position that you just really didn't intend to be. All you were trying to do was not to feel anxious, and that is completely understandable. Now, the other approach when you find yourself in a situation is that you might, instead of saying, right, well, I'm going to avoid that situation, you might say, right, well, I'm at the cinema and I'm feeling really anxious and that was really horrible, so I'm still going to go to the cinema, but actually maybe I'll sit right beside the door. Rather than being at any seat, you've got to sit right beside the door. And then, because you've then kind of confirmed to your brain that actually you can't cope with sitting anywhere, and that there is something threatening about maybe just sitting in the middle or just picking any seat, that you have to sit by the door, then you might find yourself then at a party thinking, oh, I need to sit by the door, or at a meeting at work thinking, oh, well, they've sat me over here, but actually that's the other side from the door and I don't think I can deal with that, and your anxiety coming up. And very much like avoidance, it just teaches your brain that there is something threatening, there is something dangerous, and then it tends to escalate and multiply. In essence, what we're talking about here is how behaviour fuels that cycle of anxiety, so that you either get stuck in that cycle just feeling that you can't do things, or it potentially even gets bigger and bigger and escalates.